We are live.
Call this meeting to order here. This is the City of Westminster Board of Zoning Appeals. It's our Tuesday, February 6th, 2024 hearing and meeting. And I guess in the way of introductions, my name is Larry Brandt and I'm chair of the board, and I'll let the other folks here introduce themselves. Scott Gray, vice chair.
Brenda Frazier, member.
Karen Ralph, attorney for the board.
Mark Depot, the director of community planning and development. Joe Atkins, planner.
Thank you, everyone. First order of business is the approval of the last minutes, which were a hearing on November 7th, 2023. Before I open it up for comments from other board members, I have and I've spoken with Mr. Atkins about this, a change on page 3, right in the middle. It says Chair Brandt will, with the support of Vice Chair Groff and Board Member Frazier, it should be voted to close testimony on that case. So I've asked Mr. Atkins to make that change. I would make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Is there a second? Well, first of all, sorry, any discussion by the board? Do I hear a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. And Mr. Atkins and Mark. Is it okay to call you Joe?
Absolutely.
All right, Joe. Joe, if you would make those changes, and I'm prepared to sign it as amended tonight if you want to give me a copy. And you can make the formal change of this. Okay. Second order of business here is we have a public hearing tonight. It's case number 24-01, an application, and sir, your name, sir?
Ghulam Abbas.
Okay, by Ghulam Abbas, the applicant, and property owner requesting approval of a special exception conversion dwellings subject to requirements of section 164-50 in the county health department. Use pursuant to the Article 7 R-7500 section 164-36B at 48 West George Street, Westminster. And again, I've spoken to Mark and Joe about this. We have made a change in our procedures a few months ago, whereby the applicant goes first, and then the staff report, and the exhibits. I guess what I'd like to do is to put the exhibits into record, but indicating that the staff report, it comes in, and this particular hearing as an exhibit 1, but in future hearings, it'll be after the plaintiff's exhibits. And this is partly for council because we didn't have a chance to talk. Is that okay?
I'm sorry, yes, I got caught up in what I think is an incorrect reference that I want to bring up when you finish, so.
Okay, so, we'll get to, I guess, the staff report after the application. Is that okay? Let's go ahead and put the exhibits we have, let's put them into the record. Council, do you want to handle that?
So the exhibits are identified on the staff report as exhibits 1 through 5. And so if there is no objection, they can be entered into the record as listed here with the Staff report being exhibit 1, the application 2, the pre-hearing statement with exhibits 3, a supplemental pre-hearing statement 4, and the proof of advertisement and sign posting affidavit as class 5.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Abbas, you are the applicant, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Next, anybody who's going to testify, would you raise your hand?
He might.
Sure, Okay. Do you, this is the three of you, do all of you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, we.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now Mr. Abbas.
Okay, respected, chair of the, chairman and the respected members of the board, city attorney and the city administration. Thank you very much for allowing me to present the case. I really appreciate your services. And I'm a fan because I watched a couple of movies of these proceedings, and I know this is all volunteer. So I really appreciate your public service. I really do. Little bit my background. My name is Abbas. It's a little difficult to pronounce this Arabic name. This is my wife, Bisma. We built our house in Carroll County in 2007. And since then we've been living here and we raised our children here. I practice here. I'm a family physician. I practice here. I'm the medical director at Carroll Lutheran Village and Lorien in Tiny Town. So I serve the public in my own humble way. So to this part, this is a house very close by. It's hundreds of years old. Sorry, she is the daughter of the previous owner. It was built originally in 1887, so 130 years old it was. And of course, with the time there was some addition. But currently, this house needs a lot of work. And what we have done, we bought this property from the previous owner, Bernice, and it needs substantial workup. So if it's not against the rules, we spend more than $200,000 just buying the property. And just the rough estimate of how much work changes we are proposing here, which I will go in a minute, another $100,000 easily. So what we are doing, this is about 1,700. There are 3 floors. One is a very old, like they show like a dungeon type a basement over with a dirt floor and first floor, second floor. What we want to do is change this property house into 2 separate, total separate apartment and build totally, completely guided inside, nothing outside, inside, to build 3-bedroom living, complete bedroom each, and a bath, 2 and 1.5, full bathroom, half bathroom, so that a family up to 3 people can live there. Also, there are currently no parking spaces, but as we submitted the plans, we are going to build 6 parking spaces in the back with a walkway to the back. It will not affect any congestion or traffic on the street. It's in the back of the house. One additional addition we are requesting the board to kindly look at and approve, if not against the rule, is to make the first floor 3 bedrooms. We want to add on. There is a part of the end of the house. There is a part where there is an old entrance into the basement. We want to close that and build a wall to make it a complete. And then build entrance to the basement from the back of the house, not from the street side. This is the only change in the existing structure of the houses. And benefit of this is that this will definitely attract, in my opinion, and since I own a few other properties, a young family who would like to come into this area and live in this almost totally built like a new house with a modern addition, all the appliances, even HVAC. We're going to change the old heating system, bring in the new. And my target is for a young couple who will definitely add to the value of the property. We build this house, for its value will go up. the property, adjacent property will go up. And we're not doing anything unusual, as we provided a detail to Mr. Mark. There are already multiple houses which has duplexes, they have quadruplexes. So it's the same. As far as I cannot think of any negative impact because all the work will be done inside the house. So it is positive impact on the local in the surrounding and increasing the property values. As far as, of course, when one house become two, there will be more property taxes, which will be utilized for the public, benefit by the county. So I think it will have overall positive effect on the local street level in the city and also for the people. I will rest my
Would you like to?
No, that was it, so you explained everything.
Okay. Since you are showing in.
What Dr. Hubbard said is, it's already two apartments. My parents divided it when they bought it. After my grandparents died, my parents bought it, and they turned it into two apartments, upstairs and downstairs. But there's only one entrance from the front. And there's two parking spaces on the side of the street side. I looked at his drawings and I have to ask him questions about it because I don't understand some of his drawings.
Go ahead. So may I speak? I missed one details and which is the point that Trudy brought in. She is the next door neighbor.
Okay.
And she will be very kind. So we know Trudy, there is one entrance, the old entrance, and you enter the main gate and then there's a stair going up. And if you look in the drawing provided, that can lead to sometime, or you left the door open or you didn't lock it. So we plan to turn the current main entrance into the single entrance to the ground floor. And we are asking the zoning board to kindly grant us the built stairway to get into the upper. So there are not in each other faces, there is no. And we are also planning to have two separate water supply and separate HVAC units and electric. So they will function as totally two different. I do not know what the zoning rules say parking on the street. But definitely 6 parking spaces in the back of the house has been provided for in the drawing.
And there are 2 there now, and you're going to add 4?
What Ms. Trudy was referring to that everybody park in front of the house.
Yeah.
But our proposed parking is in the back, after the backyard, 6 place, and then we'll build a cement pathway all the way to the house.
So the cars will come in through the alleyway.
Yes, there is a back street from there. They can either go this way or they can come from the main street into that. There are multiple streets to get to the back of the house. Yes, sir.
My understanding is it's already a 2 apartment house. So why is he having to have a zoning appeal to make it into 2 apartments? Where the building code change somewhere along the line?
We'll look to you, Mark, for that.
I just wanted her to provide her name and address for the record. I'm sorry. And if you wouldn't mind providing your name and address.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, right now, yeah.
Gertrude Leicester, Leister. 50 West George Street.
So what we found was that we couldn't find any record that it was legally established for 2. And no rental license was provided. There was no rental license existing for the property, so that the non-conforming status, if there was a legal non-conforming status, was removed. So to bring it into compliance, that's where we are right now.
When my sisters and I inherited it, we did have a rental license. And we had to get that inspected.
But you have to get one every year. You have to maintain the rental license. And those are new, back in 2016, I want to say, when the new rental license program came into effect. So to maintain that rental license, you need to update it every year.
Yeah, the lead inspection is administered through the state, and then the rental licensure program is administered through the city.
My niece bought it from her mother, and she was renting the upstairs to her brother, so she may not know about the rental license.
Well, it's more as mentioned, when you do go through building permits and if you're changing use for rental property, that's when the state or the county would come in and do an inspection and ensure that it meets certain standard, you know, rent the property out. So a lot of times that is where lead paint and other elements might come up that have to be addressed. But for today, where we stand today, we did have this discussion was that status is gone, so this is bringing it back. And if you do look at the property, it does appear that there were 2 units there at one point.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I'll ask Dr. Abbas later.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody on the board have questions for the applicant? I guess I would turn it over to staff for their reports.
Sure. Again, I'd like to enter the entire staff report into the record. As mentioned earlier, the advertising for this case was done in accordance with section 164, 166, where the newspaper filing, we have the certificate of mailing to adjacent property owners and the sign posting and affidavit. Getting into the actual staff report, dealing with the first section, which is section 164.50, which is on page 4. There are 4 criteria to look at for granting a conversion, special exception for conversion. The first one is to provide parking, as the applicant mentioned. He'll provide 6 spaces, although he only needs 4. The maximum number of dwelling units meets the code. The structure to be converted is not to be enlarged or expanded more than 30%. The applicant did mention that he was putting on an addition on the side, but it's well within the 30% range. And then D, each proposed dwelling unit shall meet the minimum square footage requirements of the livability code. And all those meet the requirement. And then the second one is section 164, 169, the criteria for a special exception. And these are the 15 criteria that you look at to grant a special exception. The applicant mentioned many of these already. Again, it's not going to have a huge impact on the community. The parking's in the rear, so it won't be on the street. He also talked about the other units in the neighborhood that are multifamily or have more than 1 unit within the building. Again, staff is in concurrence with what the applicant said, and we agree that it won't be have a negative impact on the community. Then the last part is going to page 12 of the staff report, which is the additional zoning ordinance regulations. And again, he's mentioning this, but you know, the requirement is for 4 spaces on the site. The applicant has mentioned that he will provide parking on site at the rear of the property. And then presumed in this zoning ordinance, section 164, 170B, the applicant for a special exception shall have the burden of proof, which includes the burden of going forward with evidence and the burden of persuasion of all the facts which are relevant to this case. The zoning administration recommends that the Board of Zoning Appeals carefully reviews the special exception and make a finding of fact according to section 164, 161A2, sufficient to either approve with conditions or disapprove the applicant's request. The zoning administration finds that based on the findings, conclusions, and recommended conditions in the staff report, Exhibit 1, the requested conversion dwelling unit to subject to the requirements of 164.50 and the county 150, pardon me, of the county health department. Special exceptions to the zoning ordinance 164.36B complies with the zoning ordinance and has no objections to the approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals special exception case 2401, subject to the following conditions. And there are 6 conditions in the staff report on page 13. The grant of the special of the requested special exception does not relieve the applicant from meeting zoning ordinance requirements and obtaining necessary approvals from the city of Westminster as outlined in Exhibit 1. The applicant must obtain necessary water and sewer allocation from the Department of Community and Planning Development. Number 3, the applicant must provide the required number of parking spaces on site. Number 4, the applicant must obtain necessary approvals from the city of Westminster and Carroll County regarding building permits. Number 5, if the conversion dwelling units are to be rented, a city of Westminster rental licensing agreement must be obtained and maintained. And then the last one, each of the 2 dwelling units be limited to an individual of 2 or more persons related by blood or marriage, or a group of not more of 5 persons not related by blood or marriage living together as a single housekeeping group in a dwelling unit or building code occupancy. And I would be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
I would just maybe ask the applicant if he had a chance to review the staff report.
Yes, sir.
And if you had a chance to review the conditions they're suggesting. Do you have any questions?
No, sir, I totally agree with the requirement.
Any questions from the board for Joe? Or
I may have missed it. What is the estimated size of the addition that you plan to put on?
It will be, we will try to do everything inside, only the staircase will be outside. And just to be on the safe side, we said that maybe up to like 10-15 feet on the back if we have to extend the.
Okay, I thought that was part of the already plans that you already knew you were going back then. Do you have other rental properties in the city of Westminster?
In the county, yes,
In the county, not in the city?
yes,
This is-
but not in the city, but we are seriously looking at it.
Oh, and Joe, thank you for the report. It was a good one. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I'm not hearing any other questions or any, and I guess the testimony is complete, so I have a motion to close the testimony.
I have one more question.
Okay.
The basement renovation, is that going to come, I read in there that the moisture and everything throughout the house, so is that gonna be completely converted to a cement style, or are you gonna keep the basement a dirt?
And I might ask Mr. Depot, we wanted to cement. But I was told that there may be a rule or regulation not to cement with these old structure, please, can you specify?
I think it's more of a building code, the Historic District Commission, there are restrictions or they request that you don't do certain things to existing brick or stone or try to keep it in keeping in kind. But this is interior space for trying to make it waterproof, there wouldn't be any restrictions from the city standpoint. Building code, I'm not sure
I
what
mean,
they would
it's up to
require.
that, or should I say,
Yeah.
not our circus, not our monkeys, but
Exactly.
I was just curious, cause I know that could be, that could cause lots of problems later
Yeah.
too.
I had my dirt basement cemented, but we had to dig down and put cinder blocks around it because my husband was so tall.
Oh, I was too short for him to go down.
You gotta feel this pain.
Like I was sitting and there is an attic. So that would make it 4 floors.
Yeah, there is an attic and one of the persons who went to, I sent somebody for inspection. He said he has never seen such a big like yellow jacket over there. So I didn't go. At least the 4 feet big height of that yellow jacket.
That's what he meant.
So, any other questions for anybody at this point? If so, I'd like motion to close testimony at this point. And discussion by the board. Shall we close the testimony?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Board members, discussion, thoughts in terms of their presentation, in terms of the, maybe the conditions that are being requested by the, city?
I think the conditions would cover any issues or concerns that I would have. See anything outside of that.
Okay. I agree. Wow. I would need assistance of counsel here to frame the motion. I'm assuming there's going to be a motion to approve. But,
Do we need to add about the 30% in our approval? See it, as a condition.
I don't wanna put words in staff's mouth, but I think that's one of the things that would be encompassed in number one, which says this does not relieve them from meeting all the zoning ordinance requirements and obtaining necessary approvals.
It would, so when they submit the building permit, we'd ensure that they're not exceeding that standard.
So that would be.
Yeah, that's stuff number one.
I'm gonna talk.
So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve the application of the applicant for the special exception as requested with the 6 conditions that are contained in the staff report. Council, do I need to be more specific on any points on this motion?
Not in the motion, but in the discussion, I think that the board should address how you find that they meet all the requirements of the. So once the motion is made and it's on the floor, you can talk about it before you call for a vote.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve the application with the conditions as spelled out in the staff report?
I'll make a motion. I feel that they've addressed the parking standards for multi-family dwellings by creating spaces on site and off street. 64-C. To size these dwellings, I think the minimum, at least 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom, 3 2 bedrooms then. Minimum square footage was 700. If both the units meet that. Address 164-160. Issue 6. Recommendations from the staff. Which are spelled out on page 13, staff report, 164, 161, 2. Those are enforced under the criteria. That motion.
I will say.
I would also, as a part of the discussion on the motion, going through the 15 criteria that we may use as relevant factors in our discussions. I think again, traffic conditions, with parking off-site, on-site parking, there's no issues, I think, with parking or traffic conditions. I think certainly the changes that are being made are within keeping of the nature of this residential neighborhood. I think the exterior, except possibly an exterior stairway, the changes to the exterior would be minimal and have minimal impact on the neighborhood. There obviously are other similar structures within the vicinity. And we have a condition that they would have to get approval from the city for whatever water and sewer requirements they need. And that being said, I think the applicant meets all the criteria for for this application for the special exception. Any other discussion? Did all right? Very good. Okay, therefore, motion's been made and seconded, for approval of the application with conditions as stated. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion is approved. Congratulations. Appreciate it.
Parent and honorable members of the board, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there, is there any other business before the board? You, council? Any other business, to be brought before the board?
No, we have no.
I have one question for staff. On approval of meeting summary, October 3rd closed meeting. Those were minutes that were reviewed at a prior meeting. Right?
But Doug Barber stated that when he went through the meeting, that there was never, they were never approved. There was no motion to approve. the
Was that the November meeting? You recall?
Thank you, Betty.
The November,
December?
I can't recall, that's why we placed it on, he said that he does not believe that the Board of Zoning Appeals actually approved. But, and we don't have those obviously, but he said he could not find where there was an actual approval of the minutes.
Okay.
We did, no, we did.
If you recall, I brought those closed meeting minutes to you in a separate file.
Yep.
And each of you read it and I got it back, right? I really thought that a motion was made to approve those closed session minutes, but Mr. Barber indicated when he listened to the tape that we did not do that. So my question to you would you be comfortable making a motion to approve those minutes tonight, or would you prefer to have them come back to you at a later date so that you can refresh your recollection as to what they said?
Those were the minutes that were in that piece of paper.
Correct.
I feel comfortable.
I'm saying, so
Motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve those.
Okay, I October 3rd. Yeah, the
October 3rd, close.
closed session. Okay, on favor? Aye. Any other business for the board this evening?
If our new staff member could.
Oh, yeah,
Should introduce yourself and.
Yeah, and we were talking ahead of time, so I know more than you guys, so please.
Joe Atkins, I live in the city of Frederick. I worked there for 35 years. I retired, took a job in Westminster. And I really look forward to coming up and working with you.
So you work with the city and not the county?
I worked with Frederick City, yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How long have you been?
January 2nd, I think is my start date.
Forever.
Yeah. I received a paycheck, so it's been a while.
Yeah, okay. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any
Did we